Hello, everyone. You're listening to FC Popcorn, a podcast in collaboration with MUBI, where we talk about entertainment, fair, foul, fabulous, in between, all sorts of things. I'm Deepanjana, and with me today are two of our finest FC critics, Rahul Desai and Gayle Sequeira. And we're all sitting here on the day that Jawan, the new Shah Rukh Khan film, is releasing, which is a cause of excitement for many, many people.
This episode of FC Popcorn is in association with MUBI, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Get a whole month free at mubi.com/filmcompanion30.
Not as exciting, I have to admit, for me, because I'm one of those people who misses the romantic hero. Because now in his middle ages, Shah Rukh Khan has decided that he needs to be an action hero because he's too old to be a romantic hero. I'm guessing. And also probably because action seems to have a wider appeal. Would you agree?
I suppose so, because, also it feels like 50 and 60 is sort of young for action heroes these days, in Bollywood especially.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when they start, mid-40s onward. But yeah, it does have a wider appeal, no doubt about it. And also combine that with the dearth of romantic films, love stories in the last 10 or 15 years, which has a lot to do with technology, change the way we communicate. So I guess because of that, it's we don't get those old school love stories anymore. So I feel like action has filled that void. And it's not a lot of our action we make, I feel, is particularly relevant to the storytelling we do. A lot of it is flaunting, a lot of it is action for the sake of action, and
Right.
hopefully we find some examples here today talking about our favorite action. But a majority of it is like, come to the theater, we'll blow you away on the screen sort of thing. So
Technology's had a huge
Massive,
part to
yeah.
play in the rise of action, no? Like particularly when, and I think to some extent we've always looked at Western films to tell us how to tell a story in many ways, but in action that's been pretty big, right? And it's been a great year, a couple of years for action. No, Gayle?
Yeah, this year has been in particular really good for action. I mean, we've had John Wick 4 has come out, Mission Impossible 7, and we've had the latest Indiana Jones
Indiana
movie,
Jones
which
also.
all goes back to what you were saying, like action heroes. Keanu was in his 50s,
I know, yeah.
Tom Cruise in his 60s,
Yeah.
Harrison Ford at 81, like being de-aged to play
81.
Indiana again. But yeah, like you were saying, like that was, I haven't seen all of Atlee-'s movies. I've seen Mersal, but that was a major problem that I had with his action, where it's action for action's sake. It's action that's making you go, look at the style and swagger of this action, but action that feels weightless because there's no suspense to it. So there's a moment in Mersal where there's a woman choking on the other side of the airport, and Vijay has to run across and save her. He's a doctor. And as he's running, there are so many cuts in that scene. Like at one point, he's running through the airport. At another point, he's like sliding under a gate that's shutting. At another point, he's like shoving someone's bag out of the way. And my problem with that scene is when you're cutting so rapidly, you're compressing time. So at no point are you making the audience feel the urgency of time that's slipping by as that woman is choking. Also, you're not getting to fully experience like the weight of that journey from one side of the airport to the other, right?
Because I think the intent is confused, right? The problem I think in that scene is more that you lose sight of the fact that the woman is the
Yeah.
focus of attention, not how cool Vijay
Vijay
is, which is something that Tom Cruise is always in sight of in Mission Impossible antics. I don't think you can call them stunts anymore. No, as in like nothing about it makes sense, right? Like there is no logical world in which anyone would do any of the things that Tom Cruise does in Mission Impossible, but at every moment of this incredible spectacle of that moment, like whether he's stuck on Burj Khalifa, wherever the hell else he's hanging from, you never forget what his objective is. That he has to get to this point for this reason. All of this is in aid of that target.
Yeah.
That's what makes, I think, Tom Cruise's actions so good, whether it's a Mission Impossible, whether it's a Top Gun Maverick again, like, all of those insane sort of, aerodynamic stunts that he's doing, they are of course spectacular, but you never forget that there is an objective here, that you have to make it in this time. if you don't make it in this, and also contrary to the Marvel world, the stakes are kind of small. Something will explode, which seems so mundane compared to the universe is at stake, people. Yeah.
Yeah, you combine that with the fact that a lot of the action heroes we talk about these days, the good ones, I mean, the added dimension is that we know at the back of our mind that they are in their late 50s and 60s. And that's basically half the fun as well, because most of them are old school analog heroes, trying to figure out their way in a digital world.
That's so true.
And we know that Shah Rukh was like that in Pathaan. We know Tom Cruise is like that in everything he does. We know Keanu is the same. And I think that playing into the audience's mind, saying, these people are old, they are absolutely out of date, and look at the stuff they're still doing. That adds so much to the way we perceive the stunts also. And of course the stunts are great, and everyone does their job very well, but I feel like that's my fun part of watching action movies these days, because I like they have no business doing nonsense like that. But it's great. It's action cinema has been having a moment for the last couple of years, but yeah, I'm looking forward to what I have not seen any of Atlee's movies. I am curious about Shah Rukh playing an action hero now. As you said, I miss that. I miss the Shah Rukh.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that back, but I'll settle for that.
I would be even happier to see him in a grown-up romance. But I don't think anyone's listening to me while commissioning Shah Rukh Khan movies. But coming back to action, as someone who doesn't have much experience watching the genre, can I ask each of you to give me a recommendation, like one of your favorite action films of late, and why do you think that one is worth watching?
I think, like Rahul said, like the best action movies that you see now are those that are fully leaning into the vulnerabilities of the hero.
Okay.
The people who've aged. I think I can think of like Top Gun Maverick, where they keep hammering home the fact that your kind is close to extinction, stuff like that.
I love it.
And then you see that he's the only one who can do the mission at the end.
And also, I really like how Tom Cruise, I don't know what he's like in real life, obviously, since I'm not having dinner with him, but I love how much fun he's ready to poke at himself in his films. Like from Tropic Thunder, remember that
the
dance that he
Some
played
role,
as the producer, unrecognizable, to all the jibes at his age, him not being able to pick up when is it sarcastic, when is it earnestly meant. Like, I love that, which has nothing to do with action. But I do think part of what makes something like Top Gun work is that character, like that is your action hero, like earnestly gung-ho about things and suddenly vulnerable rather than being invulnerable, which was how the action heroes were, I think, in the 80s and 90s. Like you literally could not pierce them. Yeah. They were Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, go on.
But no, I was talking about Messel and the quick cuts of that scene. So when I think of action now, like one scene that really stands out to me is the 10-minute hallway fight in Atomic Blonde. You guys seen it? It's an unbroken...
The one take.
Yeah, it's all one take.
Yeah.
And the reason I think one takes are so good is that because as the protagonist is fighting, you get to see them worn down. At some point, you get to see the fatigue on their face. You get to hear the bones break. They start out being very enthusiastic and powerful, but as the fight goes on, you can see them getting sloppier and sloppier. That just adds that element of like realism to a fight that fights in general have been missing. Because you don't want to see them be all powerful all the time, because then where are the stakes?
True.
Shout out to Raj and DK for their Family Man, because I think they've also raised the stakes in that sense. They made the one take thing a signature in the Family Man series. Both seasons have like, I think, one massive one take sequence. And as she said, very rightly, I think you see the continuity of the action, and you see, of course, there's the added sort of excitement of watching the cameraman sort of follow these characters through these impossibly choreographed sequences. So your tension is basically that don't make a mistake, because you've seen how difficult they are to pull off. But at the same time, there are bullets flying around, there are people hiding from each other. So I feel like Raj and DK made it, they've almost normalized that one take sequence. And especially in long form storytelling, we don't get to see a lot of that. You also feel like they aren't flaunting their technique so much as a lot of action films tend to do when they sort of choreograph these one take sequences. Like for example, Agent Vinod also, I mean the very famous song Rabta, Saif Ali Khan, lovely song, big fan of the sequence itself when I watched it. But now if you think of it, it's really a lot of like, it had no business really being there, except for the fact that we have a lot of money and we need to shoot something really stylish.
Yeah.
And I love Sriram Raghavan, but maybe that didn't belong there. But in Family Man, you see a lot of it belongs there. And you see Manoj Bajpayee, who again is in his 50s, terrifically fit for the kind of roles he plays.
Yeah.
And all of that comes across in the sequences, whether it's the climax or whether it's like this one take in a yard. So I am a big fan of how Raj and DK shoot their action, because it's not ultra stylized. It feels like it's happening in Bombay. It feels like it can happen anywhere, and I think it's a difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, and it's quite distinctive, I think, now when there's a lot of emphasis on doing action that feels fantastical, right? Like, especially on big screen, because I think we're constantly being given, particularly in films, larger than life, hyper surreal kind of worlds. Sometimes it's fantastical worlds, literally. Something that comes to mind immediately is Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the impossibleness of that is so grand. And that, when the whole brigade is coming at them, right? And the guy with the guitar and everything. Like, it's just incredible. Nothing makes sense and everything feels real.
Absolutely.
And its technology worked in a really clever way with analog filmmaking.
Yeah.
Then you have more recently something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which again uses crazy technology, insane, impossible situations which feel very real within that world, right? But this sort of Everything Everywhere All at Once just sort of reminds me, action tends to be seen as a very masculine genre. Would you both agree?